Well, this is Aloha Sunday, and in our church, that means it's the last Sunday of the month. Every last Sunday is Aloha Sunday, and on that Sunday, we always speak to an ancient Hawaiian proverb. These proverbs were collected by a wonderful scholar named Dr. Mary Kavenapukui. They were put together in a book called Olelo Noe'au, which means wisdom sayings. We do that because we want to understand that beautiful part of Hawaiian spirituality where we can join together with the spiritual truths that we know. And that way, we can feel more connected with the people of this land and the spiritual culture in which we live. The phrase that we're looking at today is this one. Ohe ulu e loa'a I ka pokole o ka lo. Ohe is a Hawaiian word that means can't or don't or not. Ulu is referring to the breadfruit. And there's a picture of one on the screen. We actually have a breadfruit tree right outside the door to our thrift store out here. If you haven't seen one, stop by and see it. It has some of the most beautiful leaves of any of the plants in Hawaii and in all Polynesia. Eloa'a is a phrase that means reaching or gaining or obtaining something. Ika is with the pokole is a word that means short or small. And okalo, lo is a Hawaiian picking stick. It was a stick that was used to gather the things out of the trees. Well, we still have those things. In fact, you can go to City Mill and you can get a picking stick. Just like this. I could stand right outside of Iolani Palace. Feel pretty holy, huh? This is actually a pretty new one. We use them. You can see that they're used to pick mangoes off of the trees. If any of you happen to have a mango tree in your yard, would you please call me? I'll be really happy to come and pick mangoes for you. We also pick avocados. We pick lychees. We use them for papayas, strawberry, guava, all kinds of things. This is a lo, L-O-U, the Hawaiian picking stick, although this is one, the City Mill lo. So what does all that mean? What does all that mean? You cannot ulu gain short the stick. Well, it means essentially this. No breadfruit can be picked when the picking stick is too short. Duh. Can you imagine? If you don't know, breadfruit trees can grow very, very tall. They can be huge, and the breadfruit is way up. It's quite a big thing. So it basically means that, if we don't have the right tool, we are not going to we'll not be able to grab that fruit. Well, what does that mean for us spiritually? The two important things to this story are the fruit, of course, and the picking stick. And then the third might be those of us who are holding the picking stick. So this idea of the fruit is something that's not unique to Hawaiian culture. In Paul's letter to the church of Galatia, he says this in the 5th chapter. But what happens when we live God's way? He brings gifts to our lives, much the same way that fruit appears in an orchard. Things like affection for others, exuberance about life, serenity. We develop a willingness to stick with things, a sense of compassion in the heart, and a conviction that a basic holiness permeates things and people. We find ourselves involved in loyal commitments, not needing to force our way in life, able to marshal and direct our energies wisely. Wow. Those are the fruits of a life that is really living, he says, in God's way. If I was to put those fruits in common language for us, I would say they are these fruits, the same thing. Love, joy, peace, commitment, empathy, holy vision, creating loving relationships, being in the flow, having direction. Is there anyone who doesn't want those things in your life? I'll give you a counseling appointment tomorrow. Who doesn't want that? Who doesn't want those rich and beautiful things in your life? These are things that all of us as people hope for. It's what we want to reach for. We are using that word loa'a to reach those things. And in the book of Hebrews, Paul writes to them and he says that faith is the evidence of things hoped for. It's that substance of things, so the evidence of things that are not seen. It is faith that obtains those things. That thing that we call our faith in God, I believe, brings us all of these fantastic, amazing fruits. So I want you to imagine that if the fruits are all those things, love, joy, compassion, direction, this is our faith. And so the proverb says, you can't have those fruits if your faith is too small. Does that make sense? Oh, it makes big sense to me. Okay, so here's one of the things that I teach all the time. We all have one of these somewhere in our consciousness. And here's the deal, folks. This is all the faith we're ever going to get. There's no such thing as having more faith. The question is, where are we putting the faith we have? And we can take this faith and we can direct it. It's a little bit like shooting an arrow. When you shoot an arrow, all the arrows are the same length. But when you shoot an arrow, it makes a difference of where you aim it as to what kind of impact you have. And that's the way faith is. Now, I love this too, because this is very much like faith. Because watch what happens if you use your faith properly. Oh my God. Look at there. Now, it didn't really grow. It was all still here. But Lord have mercy. It looks like a big faith, but really it's just all of this faith now is really focused in one big, seriously long direction. I could do some fantastic mango picking with this. I could even use this for collecting offerings. Here you go. I like that idea. Now there's some faith. There's a new idea for the ushers. So, okay, great. You say, and this is how you can make your stick get, whatever. But here's the deal. How do we do that? What is it that is going to extend this in our life? And that's what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about how to make your picking stick get as long as it possibly can so you can reach all of the fruits that God is promising for us. Are you interested in that? Okay, good. Because we're going to find out. I think there's 5 different situations that I want you to see where we can exercise. Now, it isn't that the faith grows, but we use it to direct it, to aim it. We extend it into a specific thing, and that's how we get the fruit. So the first thing I want you to look at is this idea of contrast. We all have contrast in our life. And what I want you to understand is that it is important to have contrast. We strive sometimes to not have the contrast. We only want good in our life. Not a good thing. You see, we need to know very clearly what we don't want so that we can find out what we really do want. There's a wonderful teacher named Esther Hicks that teaches what's called the Abraham teachings. She wrote a book called Ask and It Shall Be Given. And she says this, in other words, for you to understand and experience what you desire, you must understand that which you do not desire. For in order to be able to choose and to focus, both must be present and understood. We have to know what we want to get, and we know in part by directing our faith to what we want by the experience of having faith in something we don't want. I mean, that's what dating is about. Do you know that? It's about finding out what you don't want. We've all dated people. Some even married them, but you're not supposed to go that far. But you go dating, and you date them, and then you figure out, no, this is not what I want. Great! Then you have a better clarity of what you do want. That's part of that process. And we've all experienced those things, not only with dating, but with places we live, with jobs we have, with the friends that we've made and we don't want to make anymore. That's all part and parcel of this great process of contrast. So my suggestion to you is that when you experience something in your life that you say, oh, I don't think I like that, we can give thanks for that. We can say, oh, that's great, because now I'm really clear I don't want that. That means we're able to direct our faith more clearly where we do want something. Does that make sense to you? Okay, good. So I'm going to give you an affirmation for each of these 5 things, and here's the one for this. I claim every experience in my life as an opportunity to focus my faith. Every experience in life. Can you join me? Let's say this together. I claim every experience in my life as an opportunity to focus my faith. Beautiful. So that's the first thing, contrast. Second thing, faith, we gain faith through others. This place was packed last week because of the result of Edwene Gaines being here. Did she not inspire a whole bunch of you? Didn't you feel lifted up and inspired? I see heads nodding. You don't have to raise hands or anything. Yeah. She did, and that's one of the great things that happens. We encounter people in our lives who inspire us. I get gazillions of people sending me YouTubes all week long going, oh, you got to watch this. It changed my life. I cried forever. It was so beautiful. And I get all these fantastic YouTubes of people doing phenomenal things, and it's inspiring. I'm so grateful we have that technology in the world that we can share. This moved me. I want you to see it. It's great. But we also get that with the group as well. I think that's one of the big reasons people come here every Sunday, is because we may not always feel so perky. I don't know, but we come, and the next thing you know, we're singing and we're feeling better, and we go home, we don't even know what happened. I just feel good. I don't know. That happens a lot in amazing transformative programs around the world, one in particular called Alcoholics Anonymous. There's been a lot of research done about that. It's difficult to research, but there has been some, and one was published in Wired magazine. These researchers from Stanford basically said there is evidence that a big part of AA's effectiveness may have nothing to do with the actual steps. It may derive from something more fundamental, the power of the group. After a review of nearly 200 articles on group therapy, a pair of Stanford University researchers pinpointed why the approach works so well. Members find the group to be a compelling emotional experience. They develop close bonds with the other members and are deeply influenced by their acceptance and feedback. In other words, we get inspiration from the group. And that's true. Now, I'm not necessarily saying the 12 steps don't work. They do work. And there is power in the group as well, too. So what I want you to affirm with me is that I seek interactions with those individuals who inspire me to realize my faith. Will you join me? Let's say this together. I seek interactions with those individuals who inspire me to realize my faith. Notice I didn't write those people who give me more faith. No, they inspire me to realize my own faith. Next one, and you thought you were going to get away without me talking about this? Are you foolish? This is the fundamental. We increase and extend and focus our faith through the practice of prayer and meditation. I'm going to give you the quote again from Charles Fillmore, who is the co-founder of this movement called Unity. He wrote and he says, we can be truly quickened with new life and vitalized in mind and body only by consciously contacting spirit. This contact is made through, are you ready? Prayer, meditation, and good works. Yeah, I know, it feels a little bit weird, but we know that because I talk about it all the time. These are the ways that we connect with God. And you know that, so I'm not going to belabor that point. I am going to give you an affirmation that says, my deepening relationship with God solidifies my faith. Let's try that together. My deepening relationship with God solidifies my faith. So we're talking about focusing, expanding, extending, solidifying. Everything, all these things are about the ways for us to get stronger in our faith. The fourth one is action. And this is about us putting the faith into action. It's one thing to talk about it, and it's another thing completely to actually do it. In fact, the book of James in the New Testament says, dear friends, do you think you'll get anywhere in this if you learn all the right words but never do anything? Does merely talking about faith indicate that a person really has it? Isn't it obvious that God talk without God acts is outrageous nonsense. You can no more show me your works apart from your faith than I can show you my faith apart from my works. Faith and works, works and faith fit together like hand and glove. A powerful scripture that basically says, this is when we have and are living in our faith and not our fear, when we're living in our faith, then the works are there. It just naturally happens. Now, there's all kinds of ways to do that. And it's not necessarily so much even about the actual doing of something. Like, it's great that people come on Monday and volunteer to make food for the homeless that we do then Mondays and Wednesdays. It's great that people go out and sing to the nursing homes and retirement centers. Those are great. But really, we can also be in action by paying attention to who we are. And that can be an amazing gift to give to the world. For example, there's a story, an old parable about a woman. An old woman was walking along a riverside, and she found on the ground a very precious stone. She knew it was precious. She picked it up, and she put it in her bag. She walked a little farther, and she met a man who was hungry. And so she opened her bag to give him some food, and he saw the stone. And he asked for it. And she gave it to him without hesitation. The man went away very happy because he knew he had something that was going to provide him with security for the rest of his life. A few days later, he came back to the old woman. And he said, I want to give this stone back to you if you will give me something else. And she said, of course, what? He said, I want whatever was within you that enabled you to give me the stone. Sometimes we can give people from just who we are, and that is the most sacred action of all. So your affirmation for this is, I express my faith through loving acts of service. Let's do that together. I express my faith through loving acts of service. Beautiful. And now the last one is crises. This is my least favorite way to increase my faith. It means there has to be some kind of a disaster in my life. There has to be some kind of a relationship collapse. There has to be a health issue. There has to be a loss of job, or something that I love has to happen. And then all of a sudden it's, oh God, oh God, oh God. Does that sound familiar? That's where we get that wonderful American phrase that says there are no atheists in foxholes. Because when our life gets in these situations, we get desperate and we turn to God. But it's not only the big things that I think we need to be constantly turning to God. I think it's important for us to realize that even in all the little crises of our day-to-day life, we can use those little things to increase and to focus and direct our faith.
God, dear God, it's me, Margie.
Margie?
Is that really you, God?
Yes, of course. Go ahead, Margie.
Well, okay. God, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
You promise you won't get mad?
I promise.
Why did you let all that stuff happen to me today?
Well, what do you mean?
Well, it started out when I woke up late, and then I was trying to go to work on time, and my car would hardly start. And at lunchtime, they got my order for sushi all wrong, and I had to wait for them to remake it.
No.
And on the way home, I got a phone call, and just as I was trying to answer it, my phone died.
Oh.
And to top it all off, I was ready to go home and relax. I was going to use that new foot massager that I bought at Goodwill, but it didn't work. God, I just want to know, why did you let all that stuff happen?
She has to start over. 21 days. Just say it. Just say it. Well, Margie, you see, yeah, we all knew you were going to have a really, really hard day today for a lot of reasons. So put a little glitch in your phone so the alarm didn't go off so you could have some more sleep. And then, that car starting thing, well, there was a drunk driver on the road, and he was coming right up to that intersection where you go and ran the stop sign. And if your car had started, you would have been there, and it would not have been pretty.
Oh.
And the sushi thing, well, the first guy that made your sushi had a cold, and he sneezed right on the rice. And I knew we knew you didn't want to get sick. So what happened is it was the wrong order. So the next chef, who was really healthy, made that order for you, and that was important. And then the cell phone thing. Well, the woman who was calling you she was in a snit, and she was just looking for something that you would say that she was going to go off and tell people and start some kind of a negative thing about you. So it was really nice that the cell phone died right when it did. And as far as that foot washer goes, there was a short in it, and if you would have plugged it in, the least that would have happened is all the lights would have gone out.
Oh, I get it. I'm sorry, God.
No, don't be sorry. Just trust. Trust that everything that happens to you is part of a divine plan for your life, and trust that you can give thanks and have faith in the good things, and then in all those other things too.
I get it. I thank God. And can I just say, thank you for all the things that happened today.
You're so welcome, and it's because the universe loves you that all those things are happening. And just try and remember, no matter what happens, you are always in the right place at the right time, right now.
That sounds kind of familiar.
Well, yeah, I think it does.
Yeah.
God bless you, Margie.
Thank you.
So whatever the crises that we may be having, even the little things that happen, the point of all this is to just be thankful for everything, not even understanding why. And that's one of the things that faith is. It's that evidence of things not seen. We may not even know why, but we stay in a faithful and a trusting way. So the affirmation for us is this: I see every challenge I face as an opportunity to expand my faith. Can you join me? Let's say it together. I see every challenge I face as an opportunity to expand my faith. So I hope you see that these 5 different areas are things that we encounter every day. We encounter contrast. We encounter the crisis. We encounter all of these situations, and I'm wanting you to understand that each one of them holds within it a potential for us to direct and to amplify, to solidify, to empower that presence of faith in us. So as we end today, I'm going to go through all those affirmations again, and I want you to say them with me, one right after the other, knowing that as you speak these things, that power grows in you. Let's say it together. I claim every experience in my life as an opportunity to focus my faith. I seek interactions with those individuals who inspire me to realize my faith. My deepening relationship with God solidifies my faith. I express my faith through loving acts of service. I see every challenge I face as an opportunity to expand my faith. Wow. If you can practice those ideas or any one of them in this coming week, you will feel that picking stick get longer and longer and longer, and then you will obtain the fruits that God has brought for all of us. Would you close your eyes with me for just a moment, please? Because all of these things, believe it or not, happen inside of us. And so in this time of quiet meditation, I am going to invite you to connect with the God of your being. I've said a lot of things today. Some of it may not apply to you, but there may be something that God is wanting you to really pay attention to really hear and take to heart. That is for you. So in these quiet moments, listen. Make that commitment. Claim your faith as we come to God together in the sacred and holy silence.